would like to take a moment to thank all the co-sponsors who've helped to make Laborfest Hawai'i 2022 a reality. The Hawai'i AFL-CIO, IATSE International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, Local 665, IBEW, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 1186 and Local 1260, International Union of Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers, Local 1, Unite Here, Union of Needle Trades, Industrial and Textile Employees, Hotel Employees, and Restaurant Employees, Local 5, UFCW, United Food and Commercial Workers Union, Local 480, and last but not least, UPW, United Public Workers. Thank you. Also, I would be remiss if I did not take a moment to thank the volunteers that have made tonight possible. Sincere gratitude to Academic Labor United Graduate Worker Union, the Hawai'i Workers Center, and last but not least, the ILWU, International Longshore and Warehouse Union, Local 142, for the use of their space tonight. Historically, workers have been painted in the media as greedy and lazy, and we just want more money to do less. We hear certain policymakers decry the collective demands of workers as unfeasible or untimely or uncalled for. And these very same policymakers are complicit in the destitute state of the working poor. How dare these workers have the audacity to demand a living wage, safe workplaces, fair contracts, meal breaks, and reasonable rest. All this in the face of the most disproportionate concentration of wealth that the world has ever seen. In the quarter of 2022, 69.1% of the total wealth in the United States was owned by the top 10% of earners. In comparison, the lowest 50% of earners only owned 2.8% of the total wealth. According to a report by anti-poverty charity Oxfam, 62 people, 53 of whom are men, own as much wealth as the bottom half of the entire world population. That's 3.6 billion people. Those 62 people aim to at least keep it that way and at most whittle down that number to concentrate more wealth in the hands of even fewer people. And then they have the nerve, the absolute gall, to tell workers that they need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, ignoring the fact that this metaphor is a physical impossibility. The moneyed few of the world can make tactical efforts to hoard all the wealth of the world. And the workers of the world must respond in kind. The most effective way to combat organized money is organized labor. Tonight we are joined by an honored guest and champion in the fight for workers' rights, Chris Smalls. Who is raising national attention about how Amazon treats warehouse workers, and that is no small feat. Chris is organizing at bus stops, testifying before Senate committees, marching with other unions, and organizing through his music. He and his brothers, sisters, and kin in New Jersey are creating a path for Amazon workers nationally to bargain collectively and negotiate for fair working conditions. In response, one of the world's richest men is throwing millions of dollars into anti-union propaganda to scare their workers into submission. In spite of these considerable obstacles, these workers fight tirelessly for a brighter tomorrow. And we stand beside them. Because organized labor fights to ensure that every working family benefits proportionately to the services they render unto the world. And with that, I'm honored to introduce Brother Chris Smalls, President of the Amazon Labor Union.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Once again, thank you all for having me in Hawaii for the first time. It's been amazing. Connecting with the union, family, the community, the organizations that put this event together. I definitely feel like you guys been with us in spirit from the beginning, and now to put this in realization of being here on the ground with you guys. This is great, from the East Coast to the West Coast. So for joining us tonight for this special event. And, I'm going to start off by just saying, I'd like to start off with some of my speeches. And, and by bringing the power together in the room. So for us here, everybody here, and everybody watching at home, to have a moment of silence for, let's just have a moment of silence for the social injustice in the country, the environmental issues, the gun violence, the anti-trust, the anti-union propaganda that's out there, the lost lives of COVID, and the war that's going on in this country and the war that's going on overseas as well. Moment of silence. Thank you. Now look to your left, look to your right, and say, I got your back. I got your back. I got your back. Right. You know? Now we feel the energy. That's what we do when we come together. That's the power that we have. And we got to use that. No amount of money that Amazon spent, no amount of money that they put against us with organized labor. And trust me, there's a lot of money. There's billions and there's trillions of dollars being out there poured into fighting against us. I can tell you that right now. I don't know if anybody here had the pleasure to visit Aspen, Colorado, but some Fortune 500 companies over there, they have a different plan. And I was able to go over there this past summer and really do a recon mission. I don't know why they invited me there. So I found out the CEO of FedEx was there. One of the VPs for Amazon was there. Some VPs from Apple, all the major corporations in this country you could think of. And then they had the startups that were investors, and they had people as young as 14-year-old kids, teenagers raising billions of dollars. And they're trying to create jobs that are jobless and autonomous. Meaning if you walk into a grocery store now, you don't talk to a person, you're interacting with a machine. When you go into a restaurant, when you go into an airport, that's what they're doing. They're planning to create jobs where they don't need us. So beyond what we're fighting against now, we also have to think about the future as well. You know, Amazon's been around 28 years, ununionized. It was just 10 years ago we were getting up and going to our malls. Just 10 years ago, maybe about 12 now, but it still wasn't that long ago. I know I used to get up, and I still get up, go on the weekends, if you have a weekend, if you're lucky, not to be working 2 or 3 jobs, and you would go to the store. And now you don't do that. You know, the luxury of one-click buy and hitting that on the internet and having the package delivered, we don't realize our own local main streets, our own mom and pop stores, our own local businesses are now gone. They're becoming the Amazon, which is known, AKA the everything store. We're giving all our money to one man, Jeff Bezos. And Jeff Bezos not only buying up parts of this island in Hawaii, he's taking over the whole country. He's trying to take over the world. He's flying to space. He's spending $500 million for yachts. He's buying politicians off. They're lobbying in the White House as we speak. These things are real things. And if we don't think about what's going on in these warehouses, where the people that come from our communities go to work in their working conditions, then we're not showing the solidarity that we need to be showing. And that starts with us. Starts with everybody here in this room. Starts with everybody at home. Those conversations start with your own family members, your own friends. We know who's supporting Amazon. We know who got their Prime customer accounts. We got to get them to wean themselves off. I know it's a drug. You got to wean yourself off of it. And trust me, I can tell you, don't matter what I've been doing against Amazon, I have relatives that are still purchasing, and I know it's a struggle. but they're starting to hear these stories from these warehouses. And the way we were able to do that was through my journey of being fired and becoming the face of what they deem me the face of the whole unionizing efforts against Amazon. You know, when I was fired in March of 2020 for leading the walkout, I wasn't a union organizer. I wasn't a part of a union. I didn't even think about trying to unionize JFK. It was just about life or death. COVID-19, New York City was the epicenter of the world. I seen workers as a supervisor for Amazon for 4.5 years. I felt it was my responsibility to speak up for people that I spend 40 to 50 to 60 hours a week with. I see them more than I see my own children. So for us in leadership position at Amazon, I thought we were going to do the right thing, protect everybody. But that wasn't the case. I had to continue advocating the entire week until they decided to only retaliate against me, because they felt that if I told the workers the truth, that it would cause an uproar and there would be some type of union activity that would follow that. So get rid of me was silence everybody else. But instead, that didn't happen. Once again, I was left with an opportunity where, yeah, I could have just took legal action and you guys would have never even heard about me. I wouldn't be standing here today. I could have just said, you know what, the hell with this. Everybody's getting sick. This is it. I'm quarantined. There's nothing more I can do. You know, I'm going to, I guess, file a lawsuit for wrongful termination and wipe my hands with it. But instead, I made a decision to say, you know what, we have to stop this from happening to people that's coming after me. Even though I'm no longer with the company, even though I'm no longer an Amazon worker, I was invested with that company. There was a difference. They didn't know who they fired. Jeff Bezos didn't know who I was. Not only did I start in that country, the company entry level, I opened up 3 buildings for them in the tri-state area: New Jersey, Connecticut, and New York. JFK was actually my last building, my 3rd building. I was a supervisor, which is a process assistant, better known as an assistant manager. So when you came in the door from graduating from college, I was the first person you met because I had to train you to be my boss. So I trained hundreds of managers that are above me and beyond as far as general managers. I trained thousands of employees. Amazon hires every day. So imagine the amount of popularity I had already in the building. Quite a lot. And I can tell you, everybody respected me just as well as everybody embraced me with the labor movement. I was a good employee. I was a great supervisor. I cared for the workers. I didn't follow Amazon's protocol. Obviously, I was a little rebellious, but I did that in good faith with the workers on the entry level. One of Amazon's principles is have a backbone and commit. And I said, okay, I'm going to use that principle. Another one of my favorite one was see it, own it, fix it. I said, okay, I'm going to do that. I saw the issues with COVID. I owned up to it, and I tried to fix it. They fired me. So the principles that they had were actually good principles. But now I play for a different team. So I use those principles to organize. And once I realized that they wanted to make me the face, I said, oh, they made a mistake. They don't realize, once again, the impact I had on workers there, and not just there, in the tri-state, and not just the fact they don't know who I am as a person. You know, I was born in New Jersey, and my whole life as an essential worker, I always had to fight. I had to fight to get recognition. I had to fight to get promoted up. So I always was a natural born fighter. And I couldn't allow Amazon and Jeff Bezos to just say, you know what, he's not smart or articulate. So from that moment forward, I traveled the country protesting in front of Jeff Bezos' house. Said, okay, you want to talk to me, let's talk. Of course, he never showed up. Instead, I was met with police every time that he paid off, by the way. But that momentum that we had, the Congress of Essential Workers, organization I founded in 2020, we brought in all these different movements. We brought in Extinction Rebellion, we brought in Black Lives Matter, we brought in Sunrise Movement, the DSA chapters, we brought in all these people to Jeff Bezos' house, all these different movements. Didn't matter, it wasn't just about Amazon workers and labor, it was about just the people and the movements that we had. And that momentum started to grow across the country. We were able to go to every house from New York City all the way to Beverly Hills to his $165 million mansion. And then something else happened. Alabama started their campaign. And you clap it up for them. That was 2020. So we said, okay, let's pay attention to see what's going on. Actually, we did more than that. We said, let's go down here. So me and Derek Palmer, a few other Amazon workers, we jumped in a car and we drove 16 hours down from New York straight to Alabama and got on the line and tried to help pretty much win that election the first time around. Talk to workers, motivate them, let them know our stories. But Amazon had a different plan. By the time we got down there was so much fear and intimidation. The workers were not responding the way we thought it was. Some of them weren't even in tune with the union. Some of them were just afraid of what Amazon would do to them. Others weren't even stopping to give us a conversation. They would just keep straight forward because Amazon had paid the police to stand outside of the warehouse in their vehicles. So they felt that they were being surveilled the whole entire time. And that was just a few of the tactics. The poster, the mailbox that was outside the building, the Vote No banner that was over the building, the signs in the break room, bathrooms, stalls, the captive audiences, the union busters that they brought were very rhetoric and racist. A lot of Trump supporters, every last one of them. And they divided the workers up. In that warehouse, Alabama, Bessemer, 85% black and brown workers, 80% black and brown women. And that's when Amazon union bust. They divided the workers up. And they installed that intimidation and that fear. So we, from New York, we said, okay, we have a couple of options. Not only are we going to try our own efforts, but we're going to educate the workers on what is going to happen once we start. Prepare them so that when it does happen, they will make that connection. So we spent on what's this actual date? April 20th, 420, 2021, we started the ALU. We set up a tent and a table outside of JFK 8, and we said, we're going to go in this independent. We're going to do this worker-led from the bottom up. We didn't have any money, no resources, no established union help, no political help, nothing. Just a GoFundMe and a couple of workers. Not only did we started to educate our coworkers. We had literature, we had several conversations outside the bus stop. At the bus stop, we had signs posted up at the bus stop for them to read. We had barbecues, we had bonfires. We created a culture that really gravitated to the workers as they came into work. As they saw as they traveled from and to work, they saw me every day for over 300 days. And on the inside, we had a committee of workers who were their coworkers that they can connect with in the break areas. So every day, it was an inside-outside game. Every day, they was going to see somebody wear an ALU shirt or somebody that they can talk to about union information so that they can get the real-time, pretty much debunked everything that was countered as far as the union propaganda. Amazon made up lies every single day. Amazon made up misinformation. They demonized myself and other leaders. But we had to counter that immediately. We couldn't allow that to grow. That snowball effect would be damaging if it was to continue to grow inside the warehouse. So for us, being there on the ground, having several conversations, being there to show the workers that we care for them, that we love them, those little details, that window of opportunity to, whether it was 5 minutes or 10 minutes, to connect with a worker, that's something that Amazon never did. Amazon is ran completely off of numbers and metrics. They're disconnected from their workers. And we as the workers knew that they spend money, calculations, they sit in the room, they send out emails and texts, and they think that's enough. But us on the ground, on the work floor, on the workshop, being at the bus stop, being in the break areas, having that face-to-face conversation, whether it was 2 or 3 months into our campaign, that right there, that solidarity and that love and care, that brought workers into voting to become the first union in American history for Amazon on April 1st.
We are joined tonight by a number of esteemed panelists. You can make some noise for them as they come up to the dais. First up, Amy A. Peruso is a politician. Yeah, make some noise. Yeah. Is a politician and educator serving as a member of the Hawai'i House of Representatives for the 46th District. Representative Peruso previously served as Secretary-Treasurer of the Hawaii State Teachers Association. She was also a member of Governor David Ige's Every Student Succeeds Act team, which created a blueprint for the future of Hawaii's public schools. Next, we have Kalani Warner, State Director, United Public Workers. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Make some noise, make some noise. UPW State Director Kalani Warner has been a proud dues-paying union member since 2002. When he began employment as an adult corrections officer at the Department of Public Safety Oahu Community Correctional Center. He is a firm believer in the union tenets of solidarity and strength in numbers, and his recent election is a testament to membership faith in Warner's leadership. Next, we have Eric Gill. Eric Gill, where are you at? Gill. Eric is the elected leader and financial secretary treasurer of Unite Here Local 5, Hawaii's hospitality, food service, and healthcare workers union, a Local 5 member since 1976. Eric has led the 11,000-member union since 2000. He's also helped form IKEA, along with 90 community leaders, to build social and political movement to improve the future of Hawaii. Next up, we have Michael Victorino Jr., secretary treasurer of the ILW Local 142. Come on down. Michael is a third-generation union member who started as a rank-and-file cannery worker at 15 years old, worked as a hotel worker while attending the University of Hawaii Hilo, and has been a machine operator at Young Brothers for the past 24 years. He is a strong believer that an injury to one is an injury to all. Kawena'u Laukala Kapahua, chair of the Academic Labor United. Representing graduate workers at the University of Hawaii Manoa, he is an organizer and activist in the Hawaiian independence movement, as well as the labor movement and campaigns to protect and preserve Hawaii's sacred places. Last but not least, our moderator for this evening, Lila B. Berg, PhD. Lila served for over 15 years with the State of Hawaii Department of Education as a classroom teacher, student activities coordinator, vice principal, and middle school principal before going on to be an instructor of pre-service teachers in the Curriculum and Instruction Department in the College of Education at the University of Hawaii, Manoa. Let's hear it for our panelists one more time, and take it away, Lila.
Mahalo tui, and aloha to everyone. Amy, would you have thought when we were in the House of Representatives that we would be in such an esteemed presence? It's my pleasure to be the moderator today as you hear from leaders of our labor unions. And I'll start with the first question. You know, we were very blessed to hear Chris's story on that moment that his stomach said, his na'au said, I gotta do this. And each of you have had that same moment. Could I ask you in 5 minutes, that's specifically for Eric, because we love Eric and we know that all of our leaders have a story. Josh will be the timer, and out of respect for our audience and the timing here, this is the first question, then we'll go to another question after that. But this question has to do with, what was the aha moment? What was the one thing that you remember that stands out in your mind when you said, I gotta do this. I gotta support labor. I gotta support the unions. In fact, I wanna be part of this effort. Amy, may I ask you to start?
So I actually started teaching with our first big strike in 2001. That was my first year of teaching, and I had never felt so at home. I knew that was where I was supposed to be, in the public school classrooms of Hawaii. And I think that, in that strike, it was 21 days, almost 6 weeks, and we walked the whole time, we picketed the whole time. The public showed incredible support. But for me, that was not the agitating moment. It came almost a decade later. So in 2001, No Child Left Behind was also passed, federal legislation that really was a thoroughgoing assault on our public schools and on teacher unions. And our national unions were complicit. They were involved in that. They bought into the narrative, this fallacious narrative of the bad teacher. And so as I watched it progress, I felt buffered. This is Hawaii, it's a democratic state, we're gonna be protected. And I think that the moment for me when I realized that I needed to step up and get involved in my union in a much more active way was when I saw the draft that Superintendent Mariyoshi was going to submit to the Obama administration for federal funds for the Race to the Top program. And my union had signed off. They had signed an agreement saying that, yes, we agree to these onerous and irrational teacher evaluations that were so insulting. We agree to this regime of standardized testing that's going to reduce our public schools to just basically a training ground for corporate America. And I remember reading that application. It hadn't been submitted yet. My principal knew that I was really political, and he let me read it, probably against the rules. And I still remember how I felt. I can still feel all those feelings rushing through me when I think about that moment. First, I felt betrayal, and then I felt so much shame because I had become disconnected from my union. I had not been articulating what I thought should be happening for teachers and public schools. And it was at that moment that I vowed that I was never going to let that happen again, that I was going to be engaged. I was going to make sure all the teachers who felt the same way that I did connected with our union, became represented in the union. And I think that that moment for me was like so pivotal. It changed everything about my life. But it wasn't a super positive moment, but I learned a lot.
Okay, thank you. I really don't know how I follow up with that one, but I was involved with corrections, and even though I wasn't a steward, people turned to me as a leader because I actually grew up in a union home. My dad was an organizer for this union, ILW, and we grew up in this building. I can probably show everybody the best hide and seek spots inside this area. I can probably take you where Freddy Krueger and Jason is buried in the backyard because that's where me and the brothers hit them. But we grew up like that. And when I started corrections, I wasn't involved with the union. But we took leader roles. And when I became ill and I was in the hospital for about a month, I had to leave on my books, vacation and sick and everything to cover. And I was rewarded that leave by a captain. But because I was that leader and what they saw as a troublemaker, when I returned to work, they took two of the biggest captains and they walked me out holding my arms to try and embarrass me in front of the other officers. I went home. I was frustrated. I didn't know what to do. My beautiful Filipino wife was pissed with me because I just lost my job. And just lucky enough that when I called the union on the way home, someone picked up. She answered the phone. She took my call. And by the time I got home, not even a half hour later, she called back and said, "You want an admin day or you want to go back tomorrow? What do you want?" I was like, I'm lost. I don't know what's going on. She said it was their mistake. They're going to give you a written apology and you can return to work. You want to go back today or tomorrow? So that was my moment to realize I just couldn't be a leader in my facility or in my housing unit. I had to step up and go into something more. And that's when the union earned my loyalty to them. And I started organizing within them, within my own facility. And we still have this political program called People. And we had to go out and sign up members to contribute money to this program. And they could never get anybody to sign up. And within 6 months of becoming active within the union, I signed up over 1,000 members to contribute $8 a month to this political program so we could fight back and protect our jobs. But because that union, who actually the agent that saved my job, she's actually my deputy director now, Laina Kamakiaina. And it's because of that return phone call. I went from just a steward in the Bayshard to the VP, to an agent, to the negotiation committee, and now I'm director of the union, the highest elected position. And even though I'm the middle child of 11 kids, I'm the only one that can brag to each of my siblings that I carried on dad's legacy. I'm bragging right, I rub in their face every day.
He took my speech.
You moved back to me?
No, I'm the middle child. I'm one of six, and I grew up with our union. My dad worked for Art Rutledge as the attorney for Local 5 when he got out of law school. That's before I was born. So I grew up with Local 5. As a child, I got to know Art. I got to know, the people around Art. There were other labor leaders as well. I remember Ivan Naivi, he's a great old man, and so I kind of grew up, knowing about union. But it really was the aha moment was my mom took us, and I think I was about 10, and she took us to a function. My dad was supposed to make a speech or something. And, so I think it was at the old Oceania, downtown at the dock. And I don't even know what the labor dispute was, but we got out of the car, we started walking in, and they would come to a picket line. And it's like, we're supposed to go in there and have dinner, and my dad make a speech, and my mom said, "Get back in the car, we're going home." I said, "Why, Ma?" She said, "You never cross the picket line. Don't ever do that." And I went, "Okay, thanks, Mom." Okay, it really made me think about it, right? And my mom was very much from the heart. She was offended by the notion that the government would get cops out and shoot at people on the picket lines and stuff. And so I grew up with that notion that this was offensive. That the government could be against working people who are fighting for a better life. And so that really made me think about it. And I've always been kind of a political active, and I was in college, we were fighting the community struggles. And Waiahole Wakani was the centerpiece back in the mid 70s. And I'm so proud every time I drive by Waiahole that it's still green. You know, and I'm proud of the people of Hawaii that stood up and made that happen because, you know, all the money was pushing the other way. But when I was in college, I found out that Art Rutledge had a position, an equity position. He was Joe Powell's partner in that development. So I went, oh, wow, this isn't right. And, you know, and so I started studying, you know, me and some other people. It's like, how do you really change society? And it became obvious that the way to change society, if you're going to have the power, the strength, the social power to overcome the developers and the money, the people that are pulling the strings and buying the politicians, you're going to do that. You have to organize workers. Working people can organize and build organizations that have strength and have enough money and resources to back up, you know, what happened with brother here, you know. And so I went and got a job at the hotel. I decided to become a worker, and I'm still a utility steward at Sheraton Waikiki, and I'm proud to say after 47 years, I'm #1 in seniority in my department. So for me, it was kind of there was aha moments along the way, and many of them since. I started in the hotel, and I've been active in the union ever since, and have been now running the Secretary Treasurer for the last 22 years. And I can say it really was that aha moment, but it wasn't just that. It made me think and study and realize that the right place to put my effort was organizing workers.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. For myself, there were many moments which you could say was aha. But the one I remember the most that stuck with me was, I would say in 2004, I was a part-time Young Brothers employee. And I would just watch throughout the years. I started in 1998, and I would observe, and I would tell myself, you know, why am I going home as a part-time worker, and I got a full-time worker who is in a different classification, coming down, bumping people down, and I get sent home? I have a family to feed. I'm going home every day, scratching my head, just not understanding why. So something told me, we'll talk to your unit chairman. So I went over and I talked to him. I said, hey, pal, what's going on? Why is this the way it is? He told me his exact words was, shh, be thankful you got your foot in the door. Don't say a word. And I thought to myself, wow, I pay dues for my leader to tell me to shut my mouth and just be thankful I have my foot in the door. So what I did was I went home and I told myself, you have one or two choices. You can either let it continue, or you can go ahead and talk to people, because there were many people talking about it, but nobody wanted to take the ball or the bull by the horn and say, no, we got to make a change. So I said, let's do this. So I went, and every day I would go to work and I would just talk to people and tell them, hey, how do you feel? Do you feel this is okay? This, that, and whatever. And they would all say, let's do something about it, which basically meant, you run, Mike, we'll support you, and you'll take him out. I said, okay, as a part-timer, let's go make a change. So I took a chance at 24 years old, and I said, I'm going to run. And I was fortunate enough to get elected, and I told myself, I got an opportunity to make lives better for people below me. It's not about who's on the top. The top will rise. Cream will rise to the top. And I said, I got to change the fact that the people on the bottom are suppressed. And I said, let's go do this. And so what happened was I mobilized the people, the support, and over time, in 2008, my first negotiating contract, we were able to actually get people full-time. And my port in Young Brothers was the first port to have all the members full-time. And I took pride in that. And everybody was like, no way this could happen, but we did it. So, you know, it shows that if you talk to people, you get them to understand the struggle, the fight, you can achieve so much together. Every day, I think there's aha moments within the union. But for me, that was my major, this is time to change and do something about it. So thank you.
Mahalo. I think every day I get to work and organize alongside my coworkers is an aha moment. But the first one I think I had was my dad. I also grew up in a union house. My dad was a Aloha Airlines pilot for 30 years, and he was involved in his union. He worked on negotiating some of the retirement stuff too. When Aloha Airlines went out of business in 2007, the only thing that kept the lights on at my house, that kept food on the table, that kept clothes on my back was my dad's involvement in the union. The union, his coworkers, they took care of us. They made sure we got fresh meals. They made sure we didn't have to shower in cold water. You know, both my parents were out of jobs for months, and we, weren't bringing in any money. Everyone remembers the 2008 recession. All the unemployment lines were super long. It was hard to get the money from it. But like I said, I have these all the time. And just the most recent one was this past summer. For those who don't know, Academic Labor United isn't recognized as isn't a recognized union. It's technically illegal for us to collectively organize. And so this past summer, we got together. We decided that we've spent the past 2 years of this pandemic unable to get sick leave. So many of our workers are getting COVID and they still have to keep working. From home, wherever, they have to keep going into work because they got to put food on the table and they can't take a sick leave day or they'll get fired. And so we started a petition, photo petition. We started going around to every department we work in and organizing our workers around this to demand that we get sick leave and pay raises and pay equity for some of our workers at Hilo, at UH Hilo, who are making 12 to 14 grand a year. And that was the only job they were expected to have. And so with only 30% of our workers signed on to this petition and us unrecognized as a union, when we shoved those demands in UH President David Lasner's hand on the UH graduation stage and the fear in his eyes, and then 1 week later they conceded to our demands, the aha moment was, if we can do that with unrecognized union members, with workers just organizing themselves and their coworkers, imagine what we could do when we're an actually recognized union and we can force our employer to the table. If unions can come together and take care of their workers, not just the workers, but their families, their kids, their family members who get out of a job, who lose their job, even when the company that the union represents the workers in goes under, if the union can continue to protect people there, just the idea of a union, an unrecognized union, can protect workers before we're even legal, that power, that collective power of the workers can change anything we want to.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Kavena, and that's a perfect segue to the next question. We heard from Chris the power of one person to create an independent union. Looking at our labor context here in Hawaii, what is the implication of an independent union for us here?
I mean, I can start us off. I think that one of the most important implications of the work that Chris has been doing with ALU and also our own ALU, I think, two ALUs, think about that, it's awesome, is to really energize and connect working class people and especially young people. And I think that our unions, we might not be paying enough attention to young people. They have this vision, this idea of justice that's super beautiful and cannot be denied. And I think that we would be wise to listen to them and, let them lead us. So I see that happening with the work that Chris Smalls was describing around the way he brought in social movements to the labor organizing. I know that Eric has been doing that for a long time with IKEA, and I know that that's happening with other unions as well. And I just think that the more that we connect, the more powerful we are. Labor is connected to all of these other social justice issues, and we should kind of take advantage of those connections and empower ourselves.
Thank you.
What Brother Smalls was saying earlier has a deep connection with Hawaii. And what his Amazon is today is what Hawaii knew as well as what was and still is the Big Five, and what we dealt with and our families before us dealt with. They came in and they threw their money around to make sure that the workers never got what they deserved. And it took organizing to fight back. But one of the scariest things that the money can do that people don't realize, like Walmart, if the workers start to organize, they just close the store. Shut it down, lay everybody off, move the store someplace else. But even that is not the scariest thing they have in their weapon. This rich individuals had the capability of forgetting history, of rewriting history. Everybody knows the Hilo massacre. Or everybody talks about the strike and they had that day in Hilo Bay, but no one died that day. But that year in September, in Hanapepe, 20 people died. Our history books in Hawaii schools never taught us about what happened in Kauai. They taught us what happened in Hilo. And the Big Five made sure they wiped it out of our books. So how does that happen? You have to, hopefully, a brother like Smalls rises up and says, I gotta have my moment to start organizing. Hawaii, we're about family, our bloodlines. You heard everyone up here had a history with their family and their background. Sister Sherilyn, one of my VPs from the Big Island, third generation. Her father, and the uncle, names are inside the Kono decision, one of the strongest decisions for public unions to keep jobs from being privatized. So is everything. Is you can't let history repeat itself. You use organization to fight this power, and you don't let them forget. And the best advice you ever can do is you want your member to be happy, you take care of their family. You take care of their family. As long as you do that, your union will stay happy. Thank you.
Look, this is a very important question. I think if we think it through, this is possibly the strategic question of our generation. Because what we're seeing here is an upsurge in union organizing. And in Chris's case, and this is an independent union. Bessemer was not just an independent union; that was the FCW that did that. We've seen in both cases what the basic problem is. Getting a union in a warehouse is what is pointed out. These monopoly companies can just shut down and move, and leave workers and communities stranded. In fact, that's what many did. I mean, the sugar industry ran away. They packed up our factories, our mills, and sent them off to Thailand or someplace. They export capital. They're building industry in all these other places. So what's happening is the monopolies have grown and expanded and gone global, and we've all seen, and we can see and feel what that is. We're facing a corporate dictatorship that is more powerful and more pervasive than any time in the past. And so how do we confront it? And on the one hand, we need to have the kind of energy. Working people have to have that aha moment. We got to make that happen. We got to support it and help it. And on the other hand, we have to build our institutions so that we have the resources to fight these global monopolies. And those two things are not necessarily easy to reconcile. Workers, build up resources. We needed resources. We struck for 51 days a few years ago. We spent almost $6 million on strike benefits to sustain our strikers throughout that 51-day strike. If we didn't have the $6 million, we might not have lasted 51 days. So, you need resources to support your fight if workers are going to fight the boss. On the other hand, when you stack up money and resources, it doesn't always attract the right kind of leaders. And so many of our unions, and we've heard it mentioned right here, got lazy and tired and not attentive to really organizing workers. Instead, they start, sitting on the money. And so we have to have both. We have to have the energy to build, that inspire workers to fight on the job, and we have to be able to build institutions that have resources. And all of this is in pursuit of our basic strategy as working people. They got the money. They got the politicians. You can see just in the last 2 weeks, they got the judges. They got everybody. What do we have? We have each other. And so, that's right. So they use every aspect they can to split and divide us. Racism right up at the start of that. Sexism as well. all the isms they use to find ways for workers to fight among each other because that benefits them. Their continued power and dominance is dependent on us fighting among each other and not getting our working class people together in our own collective interests, which is what unions are all about. But we haven't done that great of a job at really uniting workers. We tend to fight among each other. So I think there's very significance right now here today. I'm sitting next to this guy. Anybody in this room expect that? The bosses have been able to count on ILW and Local 5 fighting for years, and we're working hard to try to figure that out. It is solidarity. So solidarity has to work at the job, and that's what Chris was talking about. His committee built solidarity. We reached out, talked to every worker, made sure they knew the union was there, and that works at the job. And we have to be able to do solidarity on a bigger thing and build unions so that we can back up. Thank you. I was looking for it. We have to lead our community. No, we have to lead our community.
We got it, brother. We got it.
Thank you. I did it on purpose because I was looking for that hug.
I mean, the guy had the pow sign for about the last 5 minutes, I thought. But anyway, to Eric's point, yes, we are fighting together. It's a unified front. We have to, like the saying goes, right? Rising tide floats all boats. Together, we can accomplish so much. But if we try to fight corporate America individually, we won't succeed. Again, they have money. They have lobbyists. They're doing everything and anything to stop the labor movement. What we got to do is come together collaboratively, work together, and put people in front of them. Let them know that we are our communities out there. We are what drives our economy, not the 1% of the world, 1% of our nation. We are the ones that pay taxes regularly, that patronize these mom and pop shops that should be in business today. We are the ones that are just working people that just want to survive. We're not asking for the world. You make your big millions and billions of dollars, but take us with you. Don't leave us behind, because without us, those wheels don't turn. You don't make your money. Ain't nobody going to be serving you but a robot at a restaurant, at a hotel, cleaning your room, digging, moving containers on the waterfront. That's what people have to understand. We are what makes America. The working class people is what makes America great. That's it. Plain and simple. So in closing, I want to say to Brother Chris Cavena, I want you two brothers to know that the ILW will stand with you and support you in solidarity in whatever we can do, with the other unions up here, other unions across the state of Hawaii. We are here. We want to help. Come join us. Let's go and make Hawaii, the labor movement, moving forward, and let's just take everything over. Thank you.
I mean, the message here is pretty solid, huh? It's labor unity. If ILW get issues on the docks, we all get issues on the docks because all our stuff comes to the docks. If the teachers get issues at the schools and the classrooms, we all get issues in the school and the classrooms because our kids are in there. If hotel or Local 5 get issues in the hotels, we all get issues in the hotels because they are at the front line of our economy. If the nurses get issues in the hospitals, we all get issues because we all get to go hospital, we all get to get health care. And if GAs at UH get issues, we all get issues because we all have people at the university who need to get educated, who want to get taught. And so if UH is a bad place to work, it's a bad place to learn. It's a bad place to be, period. The same with all of our workplaces. And so the important part of the labor movement here in Hawaii is this coordination that's going on, just even up here in the small conversations. Hawaii isn't a big place. We all know each other. You can only go so far as the ocean before you got to turn around and then see the guy you're running away from. We got to get together because there's two sides in this. It's either the side of the corporations, the ones with the money, the ones who lock workers out of their workplaces when they try to organize, like they did to the Starbucks workers in Mililani. It's the other side, which is harassing UH-ALU GAs in their workplaces, like in the IFA, where there are 4 sexual harassment investigations ongoing right now, and our workers have no recourse. If ILW or Local 5 or anyone else is getting screwed in the courts, You know, there is one side to be on if you're a worker, and it's not the side with the big money and the owners and the bosses, because they don't care about us. They don't care if they replace us with a robot, if we cannot go to school. They don't care if we cannot put food on the table or clothe our kids. But our workers care. Our co-workers care. Our neighbors care. And we all need a union to fight for us. So if we can get together and have our each other's backs, like is being shown up here, we can take on any of the companies that come at us, whether it's Amazon, whether it's the hotels, whether it's any of the big dock companies or anywhere else, the university even, you know? We have to get together and be on one side on this because there's no other option that we have but each other.
Let's give another round of applause for our leaders, our voices. And my takeaway from this evening is not only their passion and their energy and their joy at what they're doing, but also the fact that you're here. And that's one of their stories has resonated with you. So, Tui, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Thank you all for the inspirational and spirited discussion. Recently, I don't know if you can hear me, Cooper Caraway, president of South Dakota's Federation of Labor, AFL-CIO, said that the Pharaoh didn't build the pyramids. Caesar didn't build the Colosseum. The faces on Mount Rushmore didn't build the United States. Workers did. And if we chose to, we could build any world we wanted. Now, I'll add to that employers don't make anything, right? Schools don't provide education. Media companies don't make movies. Hotels don't provide clean and safe accommodations. Development companies don't build housing. And Amazon, that touts itself as the company that does everything, doesn't do anything. Workers do. Brother Chris Smalls is evidence that a worker can stand up to one of the world's most powerful companies and raise national consciousness about the working conditions in Amazon warehouses. And he's doing this for Amazon workers in much the same way that Cesar Chavez did for farm workers. We support workers in Hawaii and across the U.S. in doing the same. Because unions aren't a service that you receive. They're organizations that we build together. And I want you to know, wherever you are out there, in whatever industry that you're in, that there are people that work in the same craft that are going through the same struggles as you. Your voice matters. And I implore you to join the chorus and help us elevate this song, because a single grain of sand can tip the scales. Many thanks to the co-sponsors, volunteers, and panelists, our guest this evening, Brother Chris Smalls, and all y'all that are here tonight, and all of you that are tuning in from home, for making tonight possible. This will conclude the streaming portion of tonight's event. For those of us that are attending in person, there'll be time for some discussion in just a moment. But again, thank you all for joining us. Mahalo nui loa, and good night.